welcome. And we've got our first question already. Hey, Francis, how's it going, man? This question is from Francis Jerksitis, who raises a very relevant point. 606 is a long way from Bucharest. Indeed, it is. What are you doing here? Well, Francis, you can actually live stream the gig if you want to check it out. Maybe I can send you the link, or I'll post it on the YouTube video. If you're interested, that is. But even if you can't make the gig and you don't want to watch any more of this, I mean, you're free to stop at any time. But I thought it could be cool to talk about some of the pieces I'm going to play. I've assembled what I believe is going to be a really cool lineup to play all this music, and yeah, a great idea. Cool. Yeah, so I got a great lineup, and I spent a lot of thought and a lot of time on the music. So I'm going to tell you about it, and warning, there is going to be a fair bit of music theory. That's kind of the purpose of this. But feel free to troll me with any silly questions. I can see Mark and Sandy and Maddie are there. And G-Hex, kind of intimidating, but thank you for tuning in, brother. Okay, now one of the first things I tried to write was this piece called Colors. And I was messing around with triads and major 7 chords and things like that, trying to find new ways of playing them. And I actually got a cool trick from a guy called Renier Bass. Renier, I'm very sorry about my pronunciation of your name. Now, a lot of the time, if a jazz musician sees a major 7 chord or a dominant 7 chord or something, we're probably going to think of a mode of the major scale or something like that, if indeed we're thinking at all, which we eventually, ideally, won't be. But to start off with, we'll probably think of, let's say on a major 7 chord, you might think of Lydian or the Ionian mode, right, our major scale. But one thing I was mucking around with, just in order to create some new colors of sound, was taking the root 3rd, 5th, and 7th of those kind of chords, but changing the 9th and the 11th and the 13th, or rather the 2nd, the 4th, and the 6th. And I found this wonderful and very strange scale, and I don't know what it's called actually. Maybe it doesn't have a name. I mean, we can name it. Maybe we can name it, we can call it Francis Jerksitis if we want. I think people will find that very confusing. But it goes root, flat 9, flat 2, 3rd, 4th, 5th, flat 6 or flat 13, and major 7. So it's like the major scale with a flat 9 and a flat 6. So I basically found a load of triads, and okay, we're not going to call it Francis. We won't call it Francis. We'll call it someone else. Yeah, as you could see, here's the form proper. There's this really crazy line, and there's a little simple rhythmic thing going on. It's just in 4, but I put some hits in 7s to kind of throw people off the scent, and it resets every 4 bars, so it's really not too complicated. What's up, by the way, Wolfgang, and Ted, and Agnish, and Sarah? What are you doing here, Sarah? You're not going to find the answers here, but I'm glad you're here anyway. So yeah, that's about it for the first piece. There's one point where I've got the 4/4 thing going on with the 7 resetting at the same time that there's a 7 thing panning out. I'm just going to let Will Vincent deal with that. He's got, very good rhythm and time chops, so I think he'll find that very easy. There's a thing I like to do in the coda of this one, actually, which may look confusing. Oh, I need to show for Insta as well. It says squidge to 3/7, squidge to 5/7. Now, I couldn't be bothered to look up YouTube tutorials about how to write nested tuplets in Sibelius, but if you think of a bar of 7 like 1 2 1 2 1 2 3, right? You might get, and if you stretch them a little bit, you can kind of turn it into 3. So there's a bit of that going on. How does it sound? I don't really know. I mean, I know exactly how it sounds actually, but we'll only really know. The proof will be in the pudding at the 6. So yeah, or on the live stream if you want to check it out. So that's the first piece called Colors. And Thank you, all you nice people who are watching, nice people on Instagram, and nice people on YouTube and Facebook and stuff. I really appreciate you. Okay, this next one, maybe you'll enjoy this story. So I wrote a piece and I thought I got to write a piece for my wife. I've been married for some years now. I don't know how many, maybe like 6 or 7 or 8 or yeah, around that. You know, my wife's like, where's my tune? So I wrote her a tune and it had a lot of this kind of chord in. And she was not having any of it. She said, no, that won't do. I need a better one. By the way, that tune is Her Majesty, which was on the last album. Good title, right? Anyway, so this one is called A to Z, and it's much more simple. Look at that, nice functional harmony and stuff, very romantic, straight eighths, kind of Latin sort of vibe. Really looking forward to hearing Ernesto Simpson on this. Sorry, Instagram, I keep forgetting about you. You know, it's not possible to live stream on Instagram through anything other than the app itself, not legally anyway. So yeah, A to Z. A is me and Z is the wife. So hopefully she'll like this piece. If she doesn't, I'll have to carry on trying, I guess. Okay, I've got my pile here. I'm going to carry on. And, you know, once again, thanks everyone for tuning in. So whenever I record an album, a jazz album, I always like to include one standard on the album, or at least a kind of standard or an arrangement, a contrafact or something like that. And sometimes this ends up spiraling completely out of control. Sometimes it remains relatively straight ahead, and other times it gets completely out of hand. And so for this new album, hey Nick, and hey Sammy, and hey other people. I found this scale that I thought was interesting, using the same method I was telling you about before, where we take the root, the third, the fifth, and the seventh. But I wanted to write something using a kind of dominant chord sound. So I found a scale which is Mixolydian sharp 9, I guess you'd call it. So it would be like root, sharp second or sharp 9, then third, then fourth, then fifth, then sixth and seventh. So the only thing that's changed from Mixolydian is the ninth or the second. And so I wrote this line, and you know, it has a lot of dominant chords. Sweet Georgia Brown, you know, the very well-known standard. So basically wrote this crazy line, and here it is with those bass hits, the bass hits hopefully falling in the gaps. And the weird thing about this scale is it sounds kind of like the chord 4, even when you're on the chord 1. Oh, Sammy, bro, you're gonna have to, you gotta tune in, man. I'll put the link in my bio, man, but you can live stream my gig. This is what it's all about next Thursday, a week tonight. So tune in, man. That would be really fun to know that you're listening. There's loads of other crazy stuff going on here. So here we have some 7s cycling through, and we let that resolve right around this page. Hope this is interesting, by the way. You know what? This is going to be especially interesting probably to come back to after you've watched the gig, the live stream. But it might help you contextualize what's going on if you see it before, like you're doing now. So that's what's going on in this tune anyway. And then I wrote an interlude using a different mode of Mixolydian sharp 9. So, you know, I thought, oh, that would be a really good way of like helping the interlude cohere with the song form proper. But it sounds so different as to be unrelated. When I've been playing it with musicians, they've actually said, oh, maybe we should just drop the interlude because you've obviously just like stuck in an interlude because you think it needs an interlude. But I hadn't actually. I'd really carefully thought about it, and it took ages for me to try and find some chords that worked through this strange mode. What was the mode? Haven't written it down, so I don't know, and I don't really care either. Okay, we've got a couple more. What do we got here? One thing I'm really, really excited about. Oh, the amazing Brigitte Beraha, amazing vocalist. Go and check her out. It's Brigitte, spelt as you'd maybe expect it, Brigitte, then Beraha. She has an amazing sound with her voice. An amazing voice, an amazing control over the pitch, and she's very kindly written some beautiful, beautiful lyrics to 3 of the pieces, actually, including this one called Ensconced, which begins with a little finger-picking thing, like that. Sup, Sam? What's up, Ryan? Sup, Dan? So kind of a weird, like, looming sound, but then it goes major. Don't worry, don't worry. The major is coming. It's even got that chord in it, which for you normal tuning people is a big D. So that's going to be nice. It's called Ensconced. And I'm looking forward to those mellower bits on the album. I think if you've got a load of crazy stuff, it's really good to balance it with the peaceful bits. What else to say about that one? Oh yeah, it's got this thing in. I think I was inspired by a bootleg I took of a band called Preston Glasgow Low. There's an amazing guitar player in that band called David Preston. What's up, Ruangis? How you doing? And Dave Preston, he did this voice leading thing in an improvised solo, and it was something like. You know, this always almost like a shepherd's tones or something, you know, shepherd's voice leading, if you like. So yeah, one of the sections in that piece is kind of inspired by that. So as you can see, right, some of these things come from my own mad scientist kind of experiments I've been doing over the last couple of years, but many things come from little recordings on my phone that I find and get really inspired. What else have we got here? Oh, here's a cool one. So, you know, people sometimes ask in, you know, if you release an album or something like that, people always ask you, what inspired this? And, you know, what's this music about or whatever. You know, I get a lot of inspiration from my peers, and I think I get a lot of inspiration from any live music I hear or see. But when you know, if you watch things online, it's not quite the same. So when I watch gigs in person, and a lot of the time I'll be checking out my friends. There are so many amazing guitar players in London who I like to listen to when I'm not playing, and I get a lot of inspiration from them. But this piece, Stereoticon. Hey, what's up, Finn? Finn, man, I think you've heard some early versions of these pieces, by the way. So you know all this already, but I don't know if you remember, it was a while ago. So this is a thing from Stereoticon. Stereoticon, you know, this weird title is to do with the conception of the piece. What's up, Russell? A stereopticon is a thing that combines two-dimensional images to make something look 3D, apparently. It's like an old school kind of projector thing. So I thought what would be really cool is to rub 2 keys against each other in this way, or 2 tonal centers. So I picked E and C, and so there are 4 sections in this piece-ish, and in the first section, what I'm doing is rubbing E Dorian up there against C Lydian down below. Thanks, Finn. And yeah, so with E Dorian and C Lydian, there's only one note that actually doesn't fit. No prizes if you work out what it is. E Dorian contains C sharp, right? So that's kind of like a flat 9 sound, or sharp 15 if you like, against the C Lydian. So it just sounds like a sort of C really Lydian, you know? Maybe Jacob Collier would have a cool term for it. I know he's got his like turbo hyper super Lydian thing. It's not that, but it's like the first 2 batches of that, I guess. Second section of that, I kind of flip it round and there's C Lydian over E Dorian. So that gets a bit weirder. And the next section is, I can't even remember, C Dorian over E Lydian. So that is so weird. The C minor sound, C minor really sounds dominant, really, or really tense, really altered. and against that E Lydian sound, when they're both happening at the same time, there's so much information. It's, well, it sounds crazy. So the melody features one of the only notes that I could sort of find that, you know, E flat is in C Dorian and also E Lydian. You check that out. So E flat features a lot in that melody there, a lot. And then, yeah, then the last section gets really weird where I've got C Dorian. So I have this kind of, you know, like a real normal minor-y vibe, but then in C Dorian. And then I had to get like E Lydian sound over it. So what I opted for, certainly at the start, you'll see, is just lots of notes. Don't stay on any note for too long because all of the notes sound wrong. So you can't hang on any of them. I did find a couple of sweet spots though eventually, like that bit there. You see that note there? Anyway, so that's what's going on there. Does it sound good? You know, what's the point of all of this? And if it doesn't sound good, well, you know what? It doesn't matter because we're going to do it anyway. It's going to happen. And, oh, Russell, thank you for asking, almost as if I've paid you to say that. So also for anyone else who's joined, what's up, Miguel? I thought it would be interesting to talk through the music I'm going to play at the 606 next week, but it's also being live streamed. And I haven't even really mentioned all the chaps in the band. It's Will Vincent's going to play alto sax. Gwilym Simcock's going to play piano. Orlando LaFleming is going to play bass. And Ernesto Simpson's going to play drums. So I'm really looking forward. Obviously, it's, you know, they're some amazing musicians. So I've been listening to for, I mean, nearly 2 decades, I guess. And it's, you know, I'm really, really looking forward to it. So you can live stream it, Russell, if you like, on the 606 website. Thanks, Kareem. Appreciate that. Okay, a couple more things to talk about. Another thing where I'm rubbing two things against one another and seeing what happens. This piece, parity. In this case, the pairs in question are triad pairs. So I just improvised on the low strings and on the high strings, moving different triads around. You know, so I'll take that C triad, move it up. What sounds good with that? And just seeing what results emerged. And, you know, here's the thing. When you start off from an intellectual point, like a concept, personally, I really struggle to get good musical results when I do that. And the only way I can get results that I like is I have to like get so much stuff and then I end up throwing away like 95% of it, basically. So, you know, yeah, why would you combine two triads? What's the point in that? Well, okay, fine, you could say that, but sometimes you'll stumble upon really beautiful relationships. And I think for me as well, like composing, I never really learned how to compose or anything. I didn't go to music school. I practice a lot and I study and I have lessons, but I didn't go to music school. So I have to sort of figure out these goals, or rather tasks that I have to complete. So this was one of them. And yeah, you know, one little voice memo in the phone emerged being the intro, and another one emerged into the A section and then B section, and then I really, really had to chop it up. And I, anyone know the Lidorian scale? I discovered this funny name. It's, you know, the name is probably the best thing about it. Lidorian. So like F harmonic major, B flat, Lydian minor, I call it. So B Lydian would be, but if we do Lydian minor, so just flatten the third. Cool? I don't know. We'll find out. I found some melodies. I found some chords. Here they are written out. Oh yeah, and when I find a new tonality like that, I don't always understand, like it takes me a long time to get fluid with it. So all my charts have all these cool sevenths chords. You know when you go through the major scale and you go like You do that. If you learn another crazy scale or any scale, I want to be able to do that really to get inside the sound. So that's what that is. There's lots of other chords written. You can see it all over this music. They can be really helpful because ultimately, you know, I think, well, my opinion is that the melodic bits, a powerful melody is more powerful than anything else, I think. So a lot of the time when I'm improvising, I'm just trying to search for a really great melody. And in order to do that, having like a smaller chunk of information rather than like a crazy scale, which is like this intellectual kind of scary thing. Having a small chunk like a triad or a 1/7 chord to focus on can be helpful. Cool. What's up, James? I hope this is interesting. Hey, do send any questions. Haven't done a stream in ages. Do you end up using your ears? Yeah, definitely. I think compositionally and you're guided by your ears, but I guess you mean on the bandstand. I guess you try and get your ears familiar with a new sound and you try to honor the musical vision, but sometimes if the flow of an idea takes you outside the tonality, it's like, it's fine, isn't it? If it sounds good, it is good, right, Russell? Like, that's the main rule. The rule after which, like, all the other rules pray towards that rule, I think. So yeah, you do always use your ears. You try and get your ears into a new sound, like, can take a while for me. But then you just, yeah, go with it and forget the brain stuff. What else we got here? Some more fun rhythmic stuff. I really like Tigran. Hey, Billy Bob, how you doing, man? I really like Tigran Hamasyan's music. I find him really, really inspiring, and yeah, just I really love how inventive he is. And in particular, I like his application of really kind of weird tuplets and stuff in simple, groovy contexts. And I can't remember the tune on the most recent album, or actually he's done an even more. He's done another one on the Standard album, but on one of the albums there was a tune called Drip. Yeah, check that out. Tigran Hamasyan Drip has these super cool triplets in a big bass, like bass riff, a rock band thing. And probably the most interesting thing about this piece here, Ballroom, we got a lot of, you see, we got a lot of A stuff, B stuff, E major stuff. You know, hopefully that's setting something up, and then we begin to get a little bit outside the tonality, like F, you know, going a bit further away. Then eventually we get into this this section here where I had this riff, bum, da ba 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 ba, bum, da ba 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 ba. I don't know if you can. What's up, Jazz Vault? Nick, Godspeed in there tonight, man. You can do it. Keep the faith. And make sure you play this in Circle of Life. So yeah, check these tuplets. But mainly what I wanted to do was have a massive rocking coda. So check out all these beautiful tuplets. We got 7s up there, lots of 5s, 7s, 5s. It's going to be, oh yeah, 7s grouped in 4s by my middle finger here. Yeah, that's cool. Hopefully it will be cool. It is cool. I've checked. I checked before committing it to paper. That's Ballroom. So, yeah. Hope you enjoy that one. Okay. I think after all these brainy concepts and things, it occurred to me that something bluesy could be good. And in my experimentation with scales and things, when I found that Mixolydian sharp 9 thing, I found this little riff. And then up a 4th. So I wrote a kind of, you know, it's a bit more folkloric, it's a bit more bluesy and soulful. What's up, David? What's up, Simon? That kind of vibe, right? That kind of thing. And that's called Where Would We Be? And actually, I'm never ever going to say this again, but this is Where Would We Be Without the Blues? That is the full title of the piece, but I'm just going to call it Where Would We Be? As my friend Emma Ravitch says, it's too on the nose if you make things too obvious. I'm quite a direct, obvious person, as any of you who know me or have been watching this stream a little bit now know. Yeah, it's good to have things a little bit more obliquely referenced. Francis, I'm going to get to this question in a minute. So yeah, Herbie, how's it going, Herbie, man? Condensing compositional ideas when writing. That's a really good question. This is a question over on Instagram for people on the other platforms. Any ideas for condensing compositional ideas when writing? I guess you have to be brutal, right? And if you have the opportunity to play some gigs and play music, play music that you've written, your compositions, sooner or later you'll really realize what stuff works and what stuff works less well. And I think you can hone those instincts a little bit, and you just have to trim the fat, really, trim the flab and chuck out the ideas that aren't quite as strong. But I think on the flip side, if you're trying to brainstorm as a composer, you really have to have there's no bad ideas in a brainstorm approach. That, you know what I mean? You have to just kind of play or write. But in my case, sometimes I'll just improvise with an idea, like the triad pairs, for example, I was talking about earlier, or the scale concept. I'll just have some fun. And you say there are no bad ideas. You just record things and see where you get to. And you can judge it later. You can say, actually, wow, that whole idea, for example, that piece, Stereoticon, maybe I would have said, E and C, I think it sucks. I'm going to just forget about that entirely. And in fact, I did have to throw out a lot of ideas in that piece. So I think you have to brainstorm very liberally and, just play and be uninhibited and try to love the ideas. Clear your head so that you feel enthusiastic about what you're playing. And then after that, then you really have to be brutal. Does that answer your question at all, Herbie? I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're asking about. I mean, form is important. It depends who you're composing for as well. If you're composing for jazz musicians, we like to play on forms, right? So consider the improvisational forms. Give people something to work with. Sometimes it's easier to play, giant steps or whatever than it is impressions, because there's more to work with in something like giant steps. So you can link the chords, you can play very simply on the chords, and already it's interesting to listen to, I think. Whereas if you're given not quite so much to work with, like D-7 for 16 bars, then one has to be a lot more resourceful to make it interesting, right? Happy to hear any conflicting opinions, so do share them if you disagree or have another opinion, by the way, folks. What else we got here? Oh, here's the thing I found a bit more organically. I was moving around chords like this. Just around my open E string. And I found some cool riffs. Probably need to get off the stream and actually practice some of this. What else is going on in this one? Oh, I came up with this cool riff in triplets. Check this out. So that was the same riff, but I started tapping my foot in fours over it. And I'm really excited about playing this one. Check it out. Look at that time signature. Look at that time signature. 12/8. We have a Cuban geezer on drums, Ernesto Simpson. And wow, when I took him that riff, I had, you know, I didn't know what the can of worms I was opening up. Ernesto's so fluid with those kind of feels and things, and had just so much stuff. He doesn't want to take a really long solo on the album recording. We're recording the 2 days after the 606, by the way. But I'm going to try and convince him to play a really long solo because he has so many ideas. I could listen to him improvise on that for hours. Yeah, I completely agree, Francis. Exactly. Yeah, it's going to be great. All right, everyone. Well, hey, thanks for listening. You know, hopefully this has been a little bit interesting, and I'm going to answer Francis's question. My 7-string Ibanez, 8-string Ibanez, I should say, is safe and sound. Dead air. That's not good on a live stream. Here is this beautiful Ibanez. I used this to record the Trio HLK album, which is done pretty much. That's not done. We've got a lot of work left to do. Thank you for tuning in anyway. The 8-string is safe. Please, no one worry about guitars, 8-string, 7-string, 12-string guitars. Hey, let me show you. I've got another weird one here as well. You're going to like this. You're going to like this one. How about this? How about this? Weird playing a microtonal guitar when the strings are already microtonally out of tune. Anyway, all the guitars are safe in the Law household. Thanks for tuning in, folks. How do I end this stream? Right, I better end it over here first. See you soon. Tune in. Come and watch the live stream at the 606 1 week tonight. Will Vincent's playing sax. Gwilym Simcox playing piano. Orlando LeFleming is playing bass. And Ernesto Simpson is playing drums. Yeah, see you there. 606 website, probably 606.com or something. Cheers, guys. I am sure I want to end that. Yes, Instagram. Thanks for watching, friends. Yes, Francis, 24 Tech, exactly. All right, folks, that's it from me. Hope this has been interesting. If not, sue me.